and welcome into Making Sense. You know what? It's it's also the middle of the political season here, and you're probably already getting tired of listening to political ads and voting for this one or voting for that one. But the very interesting thing is that a lot of times during a political season, the economy just kind of gets into a little bit of a malaise. It kind of does a wait and see attitude. Today with me is Brandt McDonald, Hagen Wealth Management. Glad to have you back, buddy.
Absolutely.
You're doing well.
My pleasure. I'm doing real well.
You know, here it is, like I said, it's the middle of the political season, and a lot of times everybody wants to take a wait and see attitude, don't they?
Every time. When you get into politics, particularly a presidential election, there are a number of things that you have to pay attention to. First of all, money supply. The Federal Reserve typically does not want to be actively involved in a political season. That's always been the pattern over all the elections in the past. They would prefer to sort of disengage and just let the political process take place. But the Federal Reserve has been in a bit of a conundrum because they want to get off of zero interest rate policy as quickly as they can, because they're creating a lot of unintended consequences the longer they stay that way. So they were predicted they were going to raise rates 4 times this year. Of course, we got the first one in December of 2015. Now they have said that it will probably be twice, 2 more times, maybe this summer and then later in the fall or after the election. That's probably a good stance for them to take, to back off. The second thing that we see is all of these U.S. corporations, particularly multinational companies, have these huge budgets, and they're trying to determine where they want to commit capital to different types of projects. It could be property, plant, and equipment. It could be new market territories, even in the international markets. So when you get politics involved, they don't know what sort of legislative agenda a potential nominee or the ultimate winner, what sort of agenda are they going to push? So you take Donald Trump, for example. He's tapped in, as everyone knows, he's tapped into an incredible anger in the country over this lack of confidence in the political process. He's sort of an outsider that's come in. And so what is he doing? He's talking about trying to come up with a fair tax code, whatever that means. He's talking about
more jobs.
Right. He wants to bring jobs back to America by putting up protective barriers here in the U.S. that would penalize Chinese companies, Japanese companies. This really, if you really boil it down, it smacks of protectionism. So yes, you can rally sort of the patriots in the country, and maybe that sounds good and makes sense. Some of his other ideas are good ideas. This particular one, which is the real big one, he's out there rallying on, I'm not so sure. I mean, protectionism has never worked out too well. So U.S. corporations are really monitoring this very closely. They're going to be a bit reluctant to want to commit. And so what happens when we see that? A bit of a paralysis begins to kick in. Money stops moving. And when money stops moving, in economics terms, we call that velocity of money. And when the velocity slows down, you start to see U.S. economic output, or GDP growth, begin to slow down, and that could be a little troublesome or worrisome. You look across the other way at someone like Hillary Clinton. She's a bit more moderate, I think, than Obama has been. She likes to stay closer to the center, which is probably a good thing. And I think that she would probably continue some of the same types of programs, a little more socialist bent, than we've seen with more right-wing type candidates. Everyone knows that the health care law needs to be cleaned up a bit.
Totally.
For example, the health care industry is really sort of in the grips of this vice, trying to determine what is the next move. I mean, if they're going to start to make amendments to the Affordable Care Act, what does that look like? Case in point, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama in 2015 lost $132 million.
That's big bucks.
This is huge.
That's big bucks.
And so they've been out there, as we tape this show, they've been out there renegotiating contracts with Tier 1 hospitals, UAB and Baptist and so on and so forth, because they can't afford these losses. They want to attempt to shift them down to the hospital. Well, the hospitals
are going to pass them.
They're not going. Well, the hospitals aren't going to do it.
Right.
So what happens? The hospital becomes a Tier 2 hospital. That means that all the insured, in order to go to those hospitals, are going to have much higher copays. And from what I've been able to see, we're looking at significant.
In the daily rate.
Oh, it's significant.
Yes.
Some people saying from $150 a day copay inpatient care to $650 a day, and then not including all the other ancillary type things, MRIs and X-rays and so on and so forth. So the politics around this year, the political season, is very, very significant. It's going to impact massive amounts of industries in this country, from financial services to U.S. multinational manufacturing companies, and obviously the healthcare industry. So all of these major industries, including the pharmaceutical industry, they're all dug in, waiting to see who's going to be elected. And I fear that in that situation we probably will see a bit of a slowdown as we sort of glide into the end of the year.
Thank you so much, Brandt. Just remember this: if you're looking for some financial help, it's McDonald Hagen Wealth Management, and they've been in business, what, 25 years now?
27.
27 years, and they can give you great financial advice. We'll be right back right after this.